Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with the Times. I'm speaking today to Sakya Dasgupta, who's the CEO of a company called EdgeCortix. Sakya, hello.
Hi, Nitin.
So we're here at CES in 2025 in Las Vegas, and you're here to demonstrate some of the latest and greatest in AI accelerator technology, or can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. It's a great time to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, what we're really focusing at CES to showcase our latest Sakura 2 AI processors. We are very happy to kind of unveil the demonstrations for the first time to the world. Here you can see some live demonstrations of multimodal generative AI applications, all running within a very small form factor of our devices, like an M.2 board that runs on the Sakura 2 processor.
That's the one there, isn't it?
That's exactly right. So this is the latest M.2 form factor.
Yeah.
Around 8 watts of power consumption, so really small footprint, but you can run 60 trillion operations. And as a casing point, here you have two very complex model, like a seg former that's running segmentation, and then you have a model like image to text or video to text that's taking in video feed and then generating live text. And you have 3 different modalities. You have text, you have image, and you have video, all running on a single chip at around 7 watts of power consumption.
That's on the Sakura 2.
That's exactly right. So here in this demo, it's actually running on our PCI form factor with 1 chip, but you can run exactly the same model application on the same 4-lane version on the M.2.
This is the PCI form
That's
factor.
exactly right. The one that you see there, that's a version that we are making available for customers with 2 chips configuration on a single low-profile PCI card. So in this case, you get 8 lanes of bandwidth benefit. Otherwise, there is no practical difference in terms of the typical application that you can run with the M.2. And of course, you're getting 120 TOPS of compute available to you.
Now, so we met in Tokyo a few months ago, and you were telling me about some of this. What's the early traction you've got with this Sakura 2?
It has been fantastic. So we announced Sakura 2 back in May last year. Since May to the end of the year, we have a pipeline growth that has been more than 3x, with more than 120 or really 130 customers worldwide in terms of the pipeline. 50% or so is in Japan, and then we have 30% in US. So the traction and the appetite for customers really for generative AI has been tremendous.
What's the real, there's quite a lot of customers in the pipeline. What's the 1 or 2 key single propositions that they're seeing that's useful to them?
Sure. So 3 key ones that I would like to kind of spell out. The first is in space and aerospace. That's been really an eye-opener. We had never really planned for space applications, but coming out of the results that we got from NASA's evaluation with our Sakura chips, we found that we were space ready, even better compared to many of the space tested chips.
Is that red hot, or is it just generally for the performance?
That's exactly right. So ours is a COTS processor that was not designed for radiation hardening, but the same processor now can withstand radiation significantly better, is what we are told, based on the experiments NASA did. That makes our Sakura processors ready for satellite, low Earth orbit application, where we are now seeing a lot of demand for this kind of processing to happen at low power in space, which is a classic example of constrained edge environment. Second application area is in the aerospace domain. Similar area, but it's a domain within terrestrial applications. You have aerospace, for example, we have worked with one of the leading aerospace companies in the US. We're also working with one of the leading aerospace companies in Japan, where they have gone through successful testing of a Sakura devices, running our software stack and latest transform models. So it's essentially a design win that enables us to kind of move forward. The third area that we are very excited about is essentially smaller form factor industrial applications. So think about small form factor ARM system, where you can augment that with our M.2 device. The entire system can be within 20 watts of power consumption, and you can now enable the latest language models, like a 7 billion parameter llama or a small language model, all running in a small box without any internet connectivity. And we are finding demand in factory automation, in smart manufacturing, those segments.
That's a demo I think you showed me in Tokyo when we were...
Absolutely right. So in fact, we have a demo running here where you can see a model up to 1.7 billion parameters, all running at 16-bit floating point. So that's another key differentiator for us. Some customers came to us and said, they want low power, but they don't want to sacrifice accuracy. With Sakura 2, we can not only run it in integer 8-bit, but we can also run it in a 16-bit BF16 that enables the customers to decide how they want to trade off accuracy and performance.
All right, let's go to another big news item. Well, a couple of news items, actually, I think, from you over the last few weeks. So one is obviously the subsidy you have received from the Japanese government, which is allowing you to do a couple of other things, and then your involvement with the AI RAN Alliance. Let's start, because I think both are linked, and I think we just start with why the Japanese government has put money. Tell us a bit about that as well.
Sure, that's a great question overall. So, we are in a very unique position in Japan. So, of course, as you know, we are headquartered in Japan with a global presence. And being in a unique position as a fabless company that's trying to really kind of bring forth AI applications at low power within the broader semiconductor industry, the Japanese government has been supporting us greatly. We are very happy to receive a subsidy at the amount of 4 billion yen, roughly $27 million, depending on the currency conversion rates.
Yeah.
That really kind of supports our next generation product development, what we are calling Sakura X, which enables us to take a leap forward in two ways. The first is we can massively scale out the AI performance. So today you're looking at around 60 TOPS. We can now go to over a peta-op of compute, but still within few tens of watts power consumption, and embrace chiplets. That enables us massive scalability depending on the customer's requirements. The second thing that this is also enabling is us to kind of make a bet at the intersection of AI and next generation radio access network, which we believe, similar to the initiatives we are seeing in terms of the AI RAN Alliance, with partners that we have worked with in the telecom industry in the past, we are seeing that clearly there's a lot of demand to have a single hardware that can do multi-tenancy, use AI processing, as well as accelerate wireless communication in the future. That's another bet we are making in the next few years, and we're very glad to have the support from the Japanese government.
Excellent. Just break down the Sakura X, because the reason you can get that performance is architecturally you've sort of worked on some interesting aspects. So just explain that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for example, if you look at Sakura 2 today, the focus has been as an accelerator, where you essentially, as a co-processor, it connects with an existing system. What we are doing with Sakura X is that we can massively scale out the internal NPU that we have developed called Dynamic Neural Accelerator, or DNA.
Yeah.
We have a new generation DNA X that enables two major changes. The first is we can have programmability that enables flexibility to the industry. As the AI landscape is changing, we are finding that operators change all the time. Today we are with transformers. Who knows 3 years down the road, what is it that we would have?
Yeah.
So we wanted to enable customers to have the flexibility to change operations and load them onto the processor. That's one. The second, we have also decided to integrate essentially an onboard CPU subsystem, in this case enabling a tight integration with RISC-V based processing, enables us to process not just AI, but non-AI workloads on the same chip.
Right. I mean, there's actually, you're actually making some of that available, aren't you, to your customers, or no?
So we are...
sorry, the programmability, sorry, that's what I meant here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we will, essentially the software is the elephant in the room today as well. So one of the key differentiators for us is that from the very inception, we have been a software first company.
Yeah.
Mera, which is our kind of product as a compiler, that already is differentiated given that it not only runs for our hardware, it enables other hardwares to talk to each other. What we are doing with Sakura X is that we are taking this leap forward, and with tight integration across the RISC-V ecosystem, as well as our own programmable new DNA cores, it will enable customers to add new operators themselves.
Okay. Finally, AI RAN Alliance. Just tell us a little bit about how that all works and the benefits. I know it's very early stage, and there's a lot of work to be done, like ORAN. But tell us what you can.
Sure. I think it's a fantastic time. So if you look at 5G, it's been a promise, but it hasn't really delivered as much. And I think one of the key reasons why that has been the case is AI was not yet ready at that time.
Okay.
Today, I think AI is pushing the radio access network much more quicker forward than what the pure promise of 5G has been.
Yeah.
Where the AI RAN Alliance comes in is that it's essentially an effort to bring members, partners, including companies like us, member companies. You have others in the industry, including GPU makers, telecom makers, tier one companies, as well as academic folks coming together and lay down a standardization over the next few years that will enable adoption of this technology a lot more quickly. So just like Open RAN today, there is a standardization. In AI RAN also there is efforts towards open source being one of the key pieces. So we also as a company, there are certain pieces that we are building, we're going to make it available from an open source standpoint so that it's compatible. And then the second big endeavor is that create a compute infrastructure that today already robust from an AI processing standpoint. It also becomes robust from a radio access network processing standpoint and becomes part of that standardization over the next couple of years or so.
So what's that? It's like dual use infrastructure basically.
Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge today is that there is a lot of compute expansion, performance expansion, and we always talk about increasing more performance. But the key question is at what cost? And the cost is really power. Our endeavor from very beginning is sustainability. And I think multi-tenancy, if you have a single piece of hardware,
is a route to
absolutely. If it can do dual usage of both AI processing as well as kind of increasing the wireless communication process, it enables efficiency to be much more better. And effectively, I think one of the key pieces of the government, Japanese government is interested in also, is to reduce the carbon footprint in the future. And I think we'll be able to do that even better with that multi-tenancy systems.
And I guess there's a lot of the radio infrastructure already there, so it's just hopefully it can be a retrofit type of activity with the new technology.
That's a great point. That's another key piece. It's going to be extremely expensive if you're going to build an infrastructure that needs you to change all the existing base stations. One of so in Japan there are 3 major telecom players. Even if you look at one of them, you have probably more than 300,000 base stations that they're dealing with. That itself is a huge infrastructural challenge. And that's where our kind of really a COTS processor comes in. So you have a commercially off-the-shelf processor that was designed for AI, and now it becomes dual usage for RAN as well.
Well, I mean, I'm just visualizing, so this is a new revenue opportunity for the telecoms operators, really.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. I think there was some recent data that was talked about where, again, I cannot confirm the data, but based on the data that we have seen from the AI RAN Alliance and others, you're talking about an opportunity that could be around $200 billion for the vendors within the telecom industry. And for the telcos, people are talking about maybe even $1 trillion opportunity. However you cut the pie, it's clear that today you have data centers separate from base stations, but now you can bring the AI applications, AI services, and telecom partners, telecom players, telecom application providers can take effective use of those kind of infrastructure.
It really brings a new meaning to MEC, multi-edge access
MEC,
computing.
Absolutely. So MEC. So we as a company, again, our objective is enable efficiency. So the whole promise of MEC was a small systems that can scale, and that is something that we believe we can do. Today we are already doing that with Sakura 2, but focused on AI. With Sakura X, we are taking the leap forward where you can co-locate wireless communication as well.
Well, Sakya, it's been really great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.